Hello everyone and welcome back to Python for Absolute Beginners. And today you're going to learn a lot more, so relax and just enjoy the video. So in our previous video we learned the four basic data types in Python. We learned integers, floats, booleans and strings. We also learned variables and some built-in functions such as prints and inputs. So today we're going to dive deeper into this built-in functions, this prints and this inputs, right? So earlier I told you that Python built-in functions such as print can actually print anything for you, whether a variable, whether a string, or anything you want to do. But what if you want to print both variables and strings or integers together, right? This is what we are going to do today. So basically we have some basic three formats you can actually use to print. So let's start. Let's say I have this variable called name here. I declare this variable name and I assign a value of Mike to this variable here, right? And I have another variable called age and I assign a value of 24 to this variable. Let's say I want to greet this user here, right? And tell this user that, hey, you are 24 years old. So it's pretty simple, right? So it will look like, hello Mike, you are 24 years old, right? And you're going to use the print built-in function, right, to do it. But actually you have three formats, basic formats you can do this. And the first one you're going to learn today is concatenation. String concatenation. So concatenation simply means we are adding strings together to form a sentence or to form a phrase, right? So let's say we are going to print this hello Mike, you are 24 years old. So we type our print here. We open this print here. Now print is ready to work, remember. So we are going to greet the user using a string, right? So we are going to type this string here, hello, right? Remember we are doing string concatenation. So you're going to add a plus sign to this. So you have hello plus, and we're going to add the name variable here, name. And we're going to add another plus also. Hello name, you inside quotation, because this just a basic text or a string. Remember, you plus age plus years old, right? So this is it. But in string concatenation, you cannot concatenate a string with an integer. Remember, this name here is a string, right? But this age here is an integer. But in Python, you cannot concatenate strings and integers together. So what you have to do is that you have to typecast this age to string, or you have to manually change this to a string. Let's say 24, but age is a number, so I'm not going to make it a string. I'm just going to make it an integer. But when you are printing this age, we can typecast this age. We can change the type of this age to a string. So it's very simple. You just type str, short for string, and you're going to put this inside a bracket, a parenthesis like this, right? So now if you print this, you're not going to find any error. So let's try and run this program and see. So you have hello Mike, you are 24 years old. We are going to solve this in a moment, don't worry. What if I don't add this string here? I just print it just like that. Let's print this one and see. You see, can only concatenate string, not integers, to string, right? So you can only concatenate strings, but you can't concatenate strings and integers. So you have to typecast all integers or floats to strings, or all values of different data types to string before you can use this string concatenations, right? Or you have to set this age here as a string manually, right? But age is a number, so I'm just going to leave it as an integer, right? So we're going to add a string here. So now let's run the program once more. And we can see hello Mike, you are 24 years old here. But the hello Mike, you are very close, and now 24 years old is very close. We are going to fix this. So basically, concatenation simply means adding strings together. So if you want spaces inside, we just need to print these spaces manually. And how are you going to do that? So before this hello, we are going to add a space here. so that actually there will be a space between this hello here and this name. And also going to add a space here. You're also going to add the space here, and also going to add a space here. Now I think the print will be very nice. So let's try and run this. And you see, hello Mike, you are 24 years old, and this one is far better. So this is how we use string concatenation. So the next format you're going to learn is using commas. So you're going to print the same statement, but this time you're using commas to do it. So you're going to print hello. You're going to add our comma, name, the name variable, another comma. You are, comma, age, a comma, yes, old, right? And remember, in concatenation, we needed to typecast this age to get a string before we could actually print this. But commas can actually handle this. Python can actually handle different data types when you are printing with commas. So there's no need for you to typecast this age. So we are going to run this program and let's see what we get. So you see, hello Mike, 24 years old for the first one, and this for the second one too, right? So it's as simple as that. So you can choose to, use this to print or this. So we just separate the strings here, this normal text here with commas with these variables, right? So the third format we are going to learn is using formatted strings. Formatted strings here. Right, so we're going to print the same statement using formatted strings. So we're going to type the print here, and in formatted strings you just need to add a small f here. You add your quotes here, and you can type whatever text you want, but you are going to put the variables inside the curly brackets. So this is what I mean by that. So we're going to type hello, and we're going to put this name inside the curly bracket like this, name. Right, you are age, yes, old. It's as simple as that. And formatted strings also can handle different data types, right? So there's no problem converting this age into a string before you can actually print it. So now let's run this program and let's see. So we see hello Mike, you're 24 years old, and this is actually the same. So basically this prints outputs are just the same. So this one is concatenation, and this one is using commas, and this one is using formatted strings. So you can choose whatever you want to do it. And don't forget that when you are using concatenation, you just need to change all the types into strings before you can print it. But with commas and formatted strings, Python can handle it for you, right? So basically this is just the three basic formats you can print statements to a user. So we are moving on to how to handle inputs in Python, right? So let's say you have a number variable, and I'm going to say inputs, enter any number here, right? So in Python, input will always return a string, right? No matter what you type, even if you type a number, an input will return a string number, right? So this is what I mean by that. So we can print this number plus 1 here, and let's see what we get here. So type enter any number, let's say 3. Right, so you see we have an error. So this basically is a string here, right? No matter what you type, whether you type a number that's into a string, so input will always return a string, right? So this is basically a string, and we are adding a string to one, and we can't do that, right? Remember in print concatenation, I explained this to you. So what do you have to do? You have to typecast this input function, right? So that whenever the user types this number, it will typecast this number to form an integer. So when I type 3, the 3 will be converted to an integer so that we can use that 3 to perform any mathematical operation here, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this, typecast this to integer. So int, short for integer. and I'll put this inside a parenthesis like this. Now let's run this program once more, and you're going to see enter any number. I type 3 and I got 4 here without any error, right? So this is basically how to handle inputs. So don't forget that inputs will always return a string, so you have to typecast those inputs. So let's say you want to use let's say you have some price here. Let's say this is a price, right? You can change this to floats here, a float data type. Floats, and you can print price +1, right? So now let's run this program. And a float is basically a decimal point number. So let's type 34.90. Let's type in here. So you see the output is here 35.9. So if you want to use numbers with decimals like prices, measurements, and all of that, you can use the float data type to convert this string that will turn to a floating data type, so that you can perform mathematical operations on it. So this is just basically how to handle inputs in Python. So we are moving on to indexing in Python. Indexing. So what is indexing? So I'm going to explain this. Let's say I have a variable called name here, and I assign a value of Python to this name. So this is a string, right? And a string is just a series of characters, and each character here has an index. So you can get this character using their indexes, right? So this is how you get indexes from strings, right? So you can actually type your name, you type your square brackets. Let's say we want to access this P here, and listen to this very carefully. In indexing in Python, always the first letter here will take an index of 0, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order. And when you are counting from the back here too, this n will take -1 as index, this O will take -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. So basically this P here has two indexes, a 0 and -6. So when I type 0 here and I print this, I want the index of 0, and let me run this program. So the index of 0 is P, right? Let me change this to -6 here, and let me run this. You're also going to get a P again, because when we are moving forward, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but backwards this starts from -1, the n starts from -1, -2, -3, 4, 5, 6 in that order. So what if I want to get n here? I can use -1, and let me print this, and I'm going to get an n here, right? So this is just indexing in Python. But what if I want to get some series of characters? Let's say I want to get P, Y, T, H, and O, right? So this is how we are going to do it. We are going to give a start, a semicolon here, and we're going to give a stop index, right? Using this, we're going to select the letters that we want, right, or the characters that we want. So we can start with 0, right? We are starting from P, and we want to get to, let's say, 4, right? So now let's try and print this, and let's see what we get. We're going to get P, Y, T, H, right? Because this is index 0, sorry, this is index, let me close this one. This P is index 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, this O is 4. This O is supposed to be an index 4. But Python ignores this O because we are starting at 0 and we are ending just before this O. It will print P, Y, T, H. So index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. It will stop just at index 4, right? So if you want this O here, you have to make it 5 here. Now let's run this program, and I'm going to get this Python here. So always the stop is exclusive. It's not part of the series of characters we are selecting, right? So this is basically how to get a list of characters in strings. So we can make this a little more interesting using this example. Let's say I have this font variable here and I assign a value of, let's say I add this phone number here, 0234567789. Right, if you are watching this video and this is your telephone number, don't be offended, please. So let's say you want to print this first 3 numbers here and this last 2 numbers here, and you're going to supply an asterisk between these numbers. Let's say, so you're going to actually print this, right? And I'm going to add this one here, this font variable here, and I'm going to supply where you want to start and where you want to end, right? So let's say we want to start at 0 here, in the 0 here, and we want to end at, let's say, at 4. So we want this first 3 numbers, right? So this is in the 0, index 1, index 2. So if you want index 2, then you have to fill here 3, because always the this is supposed to be in the 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3, but this 4 here will not be inclusive, right? So we can just add some series of asterisks here, right? And you add another plus here, and you're going to type our font variable here again, and I'm going to select the last index. Let's say we want the last 2 numbers, right? So what you can do is that we can actually use the index from front or from back, but from back will be easy because this is -1, this 9 is -1, and this is -2, right? So we can supply -2 here, and you can just leave this one here, and this one Python will automatically set this as the last number, right? The last index. So now let's try and run this program and let's see. You see, we are going to get 0, 2, 3 and asterisk and 8, 9, right? So it's as simple as that. So let me clear this one. Let me clear this and let me type a name here. Let me use a string, a letter string, right? If I print this here, if I print this name index here, you see, I have to give a start value and an end value. But if I don't give a start value and end value, Python will automatically set the start value to the first index and start the last value to the last index. So when I print this one, you see what we are going to get. You're going to get Python, right? Because if you don't supply a parameter yourself, Python will assume that the start is in the 0 and to the end. So Python will actually print all this for you, right? So let's say I want to select some series of characters. So I select the start to 2 and I just leave the end here. Let me run this program and we're going to get THON because this is index 0, index 1 and index 2. So it will start from this T and it will print all that we have remaining. So you can actually do the same thing here. So let's say you supply this with let's say 4. Let's run this program once again and we're going to get PYTH, right? Because it will start from index 0 here. Index 0 here. So 0, 1, 2, 3. But remember, the last one will not be inclusive. So O will not be inclusive. So it will print PYTH, right? So you can try this yourself. So pause the video and try this. Let's say 1 and -1. You can pause the video and try this and what you're going to get. So let's run this video. Let's run this and I'm going to get YTHO. Why? Because we are starting at index 1. So this is index 0 and this Y is index 1 and we are ending at index -1. So it will print YTHO. And remember, this negative index 1, this part will not be inclusive, right? So it's as simple as that. But we can also add a step to this, right? So this is how the syntax will look. So we give a start parameter, a stop parameter, and a step parameter. So a step actually means how it should go, how it should jump, or how often it should go, whether it should increase by 1 or 2 or anything. So I'll show you real quick. So you can, let's say we are going to start from the first index, right? So in the 0, and I give a stop of let's say 5 here, and I supply a step of 2, moving, meaning we are moving 2 after this, because this is the start, and this, so this is in the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So actually this two alone should print pytho, but we are moving two steps, right? So it won't print this y, so it will print this p here and this t here and this o here. So now let's run this program and let's see. So you see it, so it will print the pto because we are moving at the step of 2, we are not moving at the step of 1. If you are moving at the step of 1, then it will print everything inclusive. So it's going to print this pyto here. It's as simple as that. So you can try this yourself. So let's say you have you are starting at an index of -2, right? And you are ending at an index of let's see, let me try and run this program and let's explain this. It's printed 0, right? Because we are starting at -2 and this is -2, and we are moving on to a stop of 5 here, right? A stop of 5, and you are moving forward at a step of 1. So when you move at a step of 1, that will be all. But we are going to get 0, right? Because we are, let me run this once more. Because we are at we are at -2, and we are moving to a stop of 5. And let's count this. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, this O is our stop, our last stop. So that's why it's printed only O. So let's try this by ourselves. This, and let's add a negative here. So let's actually solve this before we print it. So basically, we are telling Python that we didn't supply any parameter to it. We are telling Python that Python, hey, we are printing this, print all this for me, give me all this, and read it from the back for me. So if you don't supply any parameter here, Python will assume is the first index. Yes, and if you don't supply any stop parameter here, Python will assume that is the last index. So actually, we are starting from 0, we are starting from p, and we are moving to the last one, but we are moving at the step of -1, meaning we are moving backwards. So actually, do you think this one is going to print or this one is not going to print? Right, so let's run this program and let's see. It's printed backwards, right? So it printed NOYTHYP. Why? Because if you don't supply a parameter to Python, Python will think like this. Okay, if you don't supply any parameter to me, then I'll assume I'll bring you the whole Python, right? So this step means now, if you bring it, read this from the back, right? So let's take this negative here and let's run this program once more. Right, we get Python correctly because now Python, since you didn't supply any parameter here, Python will get this Python value and it will read it forward. But let's say you supply a parameter. Let's close this one. Let's say you supply a parameter of, let's say, 2, and you are moving to let's say 5, but with an index of -1. Okay, let me make this one 0. So at index of 0, we are moving to 5, but we are moving backwards. Now let's see what Python will print for us. Python didn't print anything, right? As compared to the first example, you see, if you don't supply any parameter here, Python will bring you your value, and it will display based on this step that you give here. But if you supply a value, if you supply a parameter to Python, this one, we are basically telling Python that Python start from P, go to N, but we are moving backwards, and Python cannot do that for you, right? So this is basically indexing in Python. Right, what we're going to do is to learn a slice function. So the slice function is also used to slice text or strings, just like how we use the indexing to do, right? So this is basically a function, right? So let's say we have this name here, this email here. Let's say we have Michael at email.com here. This is a string, and this is also a string. This is a string. So let's learn how to use the slice function. So the slice function is also used to get a series of characters. So you can create this slice function here, right? And you can create an object from this slice function. I will show you what an object means when you get to object-oriented programming, right? So don't be confused, just learn how. So we can we can set our slice function here. So let's say you want to slice from index 0 to, let's say, to the last one. Let's say you want to get a username from this email. So you want index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so we are going to type 7 because this 6 will not be inclusive. So this 7, right? So now we are going to get an username from this email. So you create a username variable, and you're going to pass this email here, and you're going to supply this slice object inside this email square brackets, like how we did in indexing. So slice here, right? And you can print this username here. Let's see what we are going to get. We got Michael. So basically this slice function is also used to slice to get a list of characters. So we start at index 0 and we end at 7, and we create an object for it. But don't be confused. When you get to object-oriented programming, I will show you what an object is. So you create an email variable, you declare your email here, and you pass this slice function, this slice object here as an argument, and you can print this username, and it will print Michael for you. So this is basically how indexing and slicing works in Python. So the next thing I'm going to learn is string methods. So let's say I have this string here, this name here, let's say Paki is good here, right? So string methods basically means what we can do with this string here. So with this string, you can do so many things with this string. So we are going to type this name here like this name variable. You're going to press this dot operator on our keyboard. So when you press this dot operator, you can see so many functions here that you can actually do with this string, right? So you can capitalize this string, right? Can capitalize this string. So name dot capitalize. So now let's print this here in our terminal, and let us see what we are going to get. Yes, okay. So now let's run this program and let's see. So it's going to print Paki is good. It's going to capitalize the first word in this this string. So this is going to capitalize P. That is how to use this capitalize method in string methods. So we can explore so many methods here. We can use an upper method here, and this is going to make our strings upper cases. So you see Paki is good is turned to an upper case. We can also use lower here. Let me use a capital P here, and for the sake of this, and let me run this program again. So you see all these are tend to look lower cases, right? So there are so many string methods you can use. You can also use find, and find will actually take an argument. Let's say you want to find k here, right? So now let's run this program and let's see what you're going to get. You're going to get 2, right? Because the index of this first k here is 2, because this is 0, 1, and 2. It is going to return an index of the k here, right? So you can also replace anything in this string, right, using the replace method. So dot replace, and replace will take 2 arguments. First is the thing we want to replace, and the value we want to replace with. Let's say we want to replace good with brave, and now let's print this. So you're going to see Paki is brave here, right? So we can explore more. We can use we can also use ends rates. Let's say ends rate here. And ends rate will take an argument. Let's say I will print this good here and let me run this program. So ends rate will return a boolean, got true, because actually this string ends with good, right? So what if I print bad here? Right, let me print this one. It will return a false boolean, right? Because this statement doesn't end with bad here. And you can also use stats with here. This is also okay. Let me clear this here. And sorry for that. So now let's run this program and let's see. We're going to get false here because it doesn't start with bad. This string doesn't start with bad. So basically this is how you use strings method. So you can explore this and you can learn this more on your own, right? And we can actually also count all these strings. So you can use this len function. So you can say len of, and you're going to supply our variable to a name. And now let's run this program and you're going to find 13 here because we have 13 characters here actually. So we are going to close this, and this is all we are going to learn about in strings method. So you can explore this on your own, and don't remember you use the dot operator to access anything that you want. So let's say if you have this name here, you can use the dot operator to access all the functions and all the methods you want to use, right? So I'm not going to show you all the methods here, but you can explore it on your own. And the next thing we're going to learn today is basic mathematical operations in Python. So we have a plus here, a minus, division symbol, multiplication symbol, and an exponent symbol here. So let's say we want to print 1 plus 3. We can do this and we're going to get 4 here. We can also use the negative sign, and let's run this program and I'm going to get -2 here. You can also use a multiplication sign here and you're going to get 3 here. You can also use a division sign here and you're going to get 0.33. Actually the division symbol, we have the one with the one that will return all the actual value with float, like the float data type, and you have the one that will return a whole number, just return an integer here. So this the other one. Let's run this program and you're going to find 0. So this one is actually different from this, and you can also do some exponents here. Let's say exponent of 3. So we are going to get 8 here, right? So basically this is the basic mathematical computations you can perform in Python. You can explore more, you can do so many things, and Python also follows other precedents. Yeah, I believe you all know BODMAS. Python solves the brackets first before it solves anything. So when you have, let's say, 10 multiplied by 5 inside the brackets here, and you add 5, let's say 5 to 8, and we take 2 from it. You can solve this on your own, right? You can pause the video here and you can solve this. So you can print this one here. So 10 times 5 is actually 50, right? And 50 plus 5 is 55 minus 2, that's 53. So we should get 53 here, right? So it's as simple as that, 53. So Python follows this BODMAS precedence. So if you have division here, let's say division here on the integer one, and let's try and solve this. So 10 times 5 is 50, right? So it's first going to, so it will be 50 plus 5 divided by 2, and the 5 divided by 2 is going to finish execution before the 50. So whatever value we take here, we add it to whatever value we get here. So now let's run the program and we have 52 here, because 10 times 5 is 50, and 5 divided by 2, this is going to give us a 2, because we are using this 2 division sum. Let's clear this one here and let's use the first division and let's see what you're going to get. So you're going to get 52.5, because this one will actually result in 2.5. So 2.5 plus 10 times 5, which is 50. So you're going to get 52, right? So this is basically how Python follows their precedence. And you can also explore so many math functions using the math model. So you can import this math model here, but we are not going to do this briefly. When you get to imports, I'm going to show you this, but we can do some 2 exercises from this. So when you type math here, you can use the dot operator to access what you can do with this math here. So you can see so many functions here, right? So you can see SUL here, you can see factorial. Let's try factorial. So factorial of, let's say, 6, right? So let's print this one here. Print the factorial of 6 here. And let's see what you're going to get. You're going to get 720, right? So you can do so many things with this math model, but I'm not going to explain this into detail. When you get to imports and models, I'm going to explain this into details. So this is what you are going to learn for today. So thank you for watching this video. And in the next video, you're going to learn conditions, right? And that's also a very important part in Python. So thank you for watching this video. Bye.